Hello, this is Kurt Wallner. Of all the rooms at the White House, the kitchen has probably undergone more changes than any other space in the building. Initially located directly underneath the entrance hall, it was remodeled several times before the Truman renovation, which required the entire building being gutted, at which point they moved the kitchen to the northwest corner where it remains today. In addition to the main kitchen on the ground floor, the first floor next to the state dining room has the Butler's pantry, and on a mezzanine level above that is the pastry kitchen. On the second floor, there is the family kitchen, part of the presidential suite. So let's start the project of drawing all of these kitchens in one drawing. Something I agonized over a lot in the run up to this drawing is how to depict all of these kitchens. And I decided that since the kitchens were basically a tall stack of kitchens one on top of one another, that I would depict them all in a vertical format rather than in a horizontal one like I usually do. And this was the key to the door, unlocking all of the fun that will happen. So I like this idea because in looking down into the kitchen, you get to look directly down at all the work surfaces, the tables and the counters and the stoves and whatnot. And it also gives me an opportunity to put facets of the White House exterior around each level. And that will make it look more like the White House and less like just any old kitchen anywhere. Another thing that was causing a little bit of a wrinkle in my plans was, for a long time now, I've understood that the White House kitchen has been remodeled once more. The White House Historical Association has alerted me to the fact that they have published the only released picture of the new remodel in their White House an Historical Guide. This is the same book that got started by Jackie Kennedy and National Geographic way back when, and they've been updating it ever since. And it, in fact, has the only picture that's been released of the White House kitchen as it's been remodeled. So I work with what I've been given. I'm so glad that I found this thing because it has a lot of bearing on what I'm doing. Once I've got all the work surfaces in and I like how everything is looking, then I try and figure out what I'm going to do with all the surrounding walls. And I spend a lot of time, maybe too much time, figuring out how the vaulting over the ground floor central hallway works, even though to include them would take focus away from the kitchen. So now I start the long process of drawing all of the details in around the room. I start with the back, the refrigerator room, and its freezer, ice cream freezer, and then moving on to the cabinets and sinks on the eastern walls, and then the southern walls with the stoves and the vents over the stove, and the pots and pans on the stoves. And these are the things that make the kitchen look like a kitchen. It's all the hanging pots and the pans from the racks, and I just loved working on all this kind of detail. In trying to figure out how to do the front walls, I just produced this very quick sketch showing how I'm thinking of doing it, and then I replicate this idea for real in the main drawing. But you essentially hide the things that you don't know anything about, and you show the things that you want to show. So a lot of what I wanted to show in all of this was how food gets from the kitchen up to the dining rooms, and this is all through the stairs, and how do the chefs get around and all that kind of thing. So I'm happy to include all of this circulation material in the drawing. So here I have the published floor plan for the Butler's pantry on the first floor. We try and decide what walls to tear out and what to show and all of that kind of thing. An advantage that I have here is that I have already drawn the Butler's pantry in my state dining room drawing, so it all goes pretty quickly. Once I get that finished, then we draw the window frames, the bottom window frames, which of course have those interesting snake-like curlicue deals on the bottom underneath. Those get in there. Now we move up to the pastry kitchen. Unknown territory because I have no plans for it. All I've been able to do is find this jumble of photographs of different parts of the room. And from this I can figure out what the plan is and do my sectional drawing. Then I divide the plan up into quadrants and number them. And then I rename the pictures according to the number, so that when I scroll down my directory, we go from the jumble of pictures in no order to all of the pictures in order around the rooms. Then I make a sketch of how I want the whole unit to look with the torn out walls and what I want to include and so on. In this little piece, it's so small, you want to a lot of things are obscured just because of the nature of how small this little section is. Once I have the sketch in mind, then I can start drawing in all of the fancy details. I start out with the refrigerator that's underneath the main decorating table, the display case that's directly above it, and the ice cream machine that's on the right, and there's a lot of stand mixers in the area, and this is always very interesting to research them. Once I get all those details in, then I can put in my drawing of the windows and where they go, and then I can start drawing in the detailed versions of the torn away windows, which I always really love doing. So the pastry kitchen is just like the original. It is just jammed full of stuff, and it's very, I love doing stuff like this. So now we move on up to the family kitchen on the second floor. We begin drawing the family kitchen with my usual assortment of techniques, making a plan and section of what the room looks like. It's about a 15-foot square, so and it's only about 8.5 feet tall. Then we proceed to the wireframe and sketch in where everything belongs. Tear out sketch of how I want to tear out the walls for the section. Once I have the tear out section placed in there, I can take a look at the overall thing, and boy, what a monster, huh? Okay, so now I'm on the final lap. I start in, of course, with the windows because they're my favorite part, and they're not to say easy, but I like doing them the most, so I just indulge myself. And then, for the first time in the whole project, I draw the top of one of the residence pilaster capitals. I've never really had to do one of these before, but so now it's the kitchen. Even though the most recent pictures I have of this thing is from 1992, which is a long time ago, I gotta figure that nothing has changed all that much. I'm gonna update the wallpaper, but most of the appliances and things like that, they're all pretty much the same. You just need to make the kitchen look like a kitchen, and I think that the things that we've got going on here are evocative of that. I especially like the toaster in the middle of the island. So maybe it's because of the complexity of all of this, or maybe it's because of the vertical format, but the kitchen drawing is just insanely complicated, and I must have lost my mind somewhere along the way. So in our next chapter, we will color in this thing, and I hope you can join us. So until then, thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.